politicians, they're all talk, they're no action, they have no clue how to do it. But if you look at China, Japan, Mexico, I have great relationships with Mexico, with the people of Mexico. I have thousands of Hispanic employees. In fact, Ivanka was just telling me today in the New York Post, there's this great article about me and the Hispanics, where I guess it's from the Hispanics living here legally. I'm just doing so phenomenal. I'm number one in the polls with Hispanics living here legally. I mean, my relationship with Hispanics is great. But thank you. We're going to bring back jobs to this country. We're going to take them back from Mexico. We're going to bring them back from China. You know, I often say that what China has done to our country is the biggest theft and the greatest theft in the history of the world. They've taken our jobs, they've taken our money, they've taken our base, they've taken our heart, and they've rebuilt China. We have the power over them. You know, we have a leader that has no idea, if you call him a leader, he has no idea, has absolutely no idea what to do about this or how to negotiate. And every time the top people come over from China, they're getting these big, you know, beautiful, they put a tent on the White House. We don't have a ballroom at the White House. I offered, by the way, Jerry, years ago to build a ballroom at the White House, free of charge, $100 million ballroom. I said, we'll get the top 5 architects in America. We'll get the top people, top everything. We'll have the best ballroom, because I noticed they always put tents up on the lawn. Number one, it's not a good security thing. Number two, the guy that owns the tents is making a fortune, okay? This poor guy, I mean, he's making so much money. All he needs is one tent, and he charges them so much, he's making a fortune. All right. But I said, I will build a ballroom. I gave it to the Obama. I actually told David Axelrod, a good guy, very capable guy. I told David Axelrod, David, I will build a ballroom free of charge, at least $100 million. We'll make it the finest ballroom in the world. We'll put it someplace so it works contextually, magnificently. It'll be done. We'll have committees set up. I never heard back. It's, it's just one of just thousands of things. I mean, if someone's going to give me a free ballroom, I'm going to take it. We'll put it in an area that'll look great. But, we don't have a ballroom at the White House. But I see the heads of China come in, and we treat them so beautifully. And yet, this year, we will have a trade deficit with China of $500 billion. What kind of business is this? And this has been, by the way, going on for many, many years. And Japan, same thing, smaller numbers, but the same thing. They send the cars in by the millions, and we have tremendous deficits. And Mexico, when I say we're building a wall, we're going to build a wall, believe me. And who's going to pay? Who's going to pay? Mexico. Mexico, Jerry, is going to pay. And the politicians come off the stage with me, and they say, I don't understand. How can you say Mexico? Mexico's not going to pay for the wall. I said, of course they are. They said, how? And I don't want to really tell them, because it's going to take them a while to figure it out. But very simply, Mexico is making a fortune on the United States, okay? A fortune. Far greater than what we're talking about. And the cost of the wall is peanuts by comparison to what they're making. It will be, trust me, very, very easy. Very easy.
In 2007, about an hour and a half from where I live, 32 students were murdered at Virginia Tech University by a deranged killer. And after that, Liberty University, where I'm president, we became one of only a handful of universities in the country that decided to allow concealed carry permits on campus. Because it haunted me to think what could have happened if just one or two in that room had their permit, had been able to protect themselves. And then to San Bernardino, just recently, we contacted the victims, and many of them, we learned after contacting them that some of them had just become Christians and were looking for a Christian university to send their children, and we've offered them scholarships. And the only thing that made the news was that we had made our concealed carry permits, our rules even more convenient for permit holders to carry. But what we were trying to do is help the ones that were hurt. And you've talked a lot about what needs to be done as far as Second Amendment rights. It seems like since 1950, of all the mass shootings in the United States, only one has been outside of a gun-free zone, or in a zone where guns were allowed. But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, look, the Second Amendment, we're going to protect it, we're going to take care of it, and we're going to cherish it, and we're not going to let people nip away at it like they've been doing, okay? And if you look at what happened as an example in Paris, Paris is the most difficult place, they say, in the world. Who knows? But it's certainly very difficult. And France, generally, you can't have a gun. It's impossible, practically, except for the bad guys. The bad guys can have a gun because they just have a gun. Now, if we had in California the 14 people that were killed, or as an example in Paris where they killed 130 people, with many more to follow, many people that are gravely, really in bad shape, lying in hospitals right now. At a minimum, their lives are destroyed and they're going to have a rough life. But these guys walked in, boom, 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 boom. They could have stayed there all day and done the same thing. And they killed 130 people, so many badly injured. In California, where the wedding was actually in a form thrown. They were giving parties. They know each other. They knew everything about it. I guess they gave a baby party. And it's the most incredible thing. Walk in, they shot 14 people. Would have killed more. If we had somebody like that gentleman with the beautiful white Make America Great Again hat on, or the red Make America Great hat on, or anybody, anybody, if we had some people, meaning if there were people in Paris, or if there were people in California, or if there were people, the 5 soldiers that were killed 9 months ago in a gun-free zone on a military base. I'd end that immediately, Jerry, with an executive order. You can knock that out immediately. The 5 soldiers, 2 of them were world-class marksmen. They were all great soldiers. They were told they couldn't have their guns, gun-free zone, put the guns 200 yards away, lock them up, they can't be there. This whack job walks in, shoots all 5 of them. If they had their guns, would have been a different story. If there were guns in Paris on the other side, just a few, maybe on the ankle or on the waist, where you lift up and you start shooting bullets. Sorry, you wouldn't have 14 dead. And one thing, the police wouldn't have had to go all over the place. And I think the police in Paris, by the way, and the police in California, I thought they did an amazing job. I really did. And speaking of that, the police in this country are really taking a beating, and they're great, great people. The job they do is fantastic. Fantastic. So, really true. So we have to protect our Second Amendment. And we have to do it right, or we're not going to have a country anymore, folks. We're not going to have a country anymore.
Thank you. I hear what I think are phony reports on unemployment all the time, 5%, 6%, whatever. But I think if you counted all of the people who have given up, who are not looking for jobs anymore, some people say the number could be as high as 20, 22%. And I just don't know how we can continue to thrive as a nation, or even start to thrive again with that many people out of work. Tell us what your plan is.
Well, the job numbers that come back are total nonsense. These numbers were made a number of years ago, and the way they compiled the numbers, so that politicians look good. That's all it is. Because if you're looking for a job and you give up, statistically you are considered employed. So you have millions and millions of people that have looked and looked and looked, and they gave up. There is no job. And if you looked at the numbers that came out 2 weeks ago, they said that the numbers are 5.1 and 5.2%, which is total nonsense. I actually think it could be as high as 32, 35%. A lot of people think it's 35%, the real number. But if you look at the jobs that they do have, they're bad jobs. They're considered really bad jobs. Somebody got on one of the shows, and I read in great depth and detail an account. These are among the worst jobs that we've ever been talking about, and yet they're considered jobs. So we're going to get real jobs back. We're going to bring them back from overseas. We're going to bring them back from all these countries that have taken them away from us. You have an example. You call up for a credit card to check, or somebody calls you, and I'll say sometimes, where are you based? And they'll be based in India. They'll be based, it's amazing. And you notice the accent's a little bit different. And where are you from? Well, I'm from India, or I'm from another country. We're doing everything. We don't have jobs. If you look at what's really going on with our country, we're going to be in such trouble. We're going to bring our jobs back from overseas. We have incredible people. One thing I've learned more than anything else, they said, what have you learned? You know, we have a movement going on, folks. Every room is like this. They're packed. No matter where we go, they're packed. The cover of Time magazine last week, we had the most unbelievable writer. I never spoke to him. It was one of the best stories I ever had. And I said to my wife, I said, Melania, I'm never going to speak to a reporter again. I got the best story and I never spoke to him. I don't waste my time. Because, you know, there's tremendous dishonesty with these people. They're the most dishonest among, they're a little more honest than the politicians, but, you know, maybe that's why they're so dishonest, because the other one, look who they're dealing with. And I'm not a politician. Remember, I'm a businessman. We're a businessman. We're a businessman. But the cover of Time magazine is so amazing because it talks about the movement. And it's actually a picture of me talking to a crowd. It's actually a picture of the back of my head. I was very impressed. Fairly okay back there with the, you know, not much of a bald spot, which is okay. But it's a picture of me standing talking to a very large crowd of people, which is standard. And it talks about a movement, and it literally didn't have a bad half sentence in there. They said there's never been anything like this. There's never been anything like what's happening. And this is why, and I'll just interrupt Jerry for 1 second, it's so important. You know, we're leading now in the polls in Iowa, so we're leading in everything. A poll just came down. And the folks from Bloomberg are here, in all fairness, and even the Des Moines Register. Can you imagine? They couldn't have been happy with Trump leading their poll. They were not happy, I guess. But John and you know, the group is here, and I mean, look, you do have some. Mark and John and their wives and families are here. You have some great people. You have some great people in this country. Some great, great people in this country. And I was going to say that what I've learned more than anything else in doing this is how incredible, smart, committed the people of the United States are. It's incredible. They want to see America be great again. It's very simple. They want to see our country be great again. But I really wish you'd go see this, because that story was so inspiring to read. And it's not a story really about me. It's a story about you. It's a story about people that are fed up. They're sick and tired. You can call it angry at the debate before the one I skipped. And the reason I skipped it, by the way, was because I was not treated properly by Fox. And they've been very nice since. And they were even very nice before. They wanted me to go on the debate. And they didn't do well in the debate. They would have done very well had I gone. We would have broken every record of the book. But I couldn't. But you know what? I'm glad in many respects I didn't do it. What happened, a poll just came out in New Hampshire, just 2 minutes before we came on. And in that poll, I have a 25-point lead. You know what a 25-point lead is? And people respect the fact that I skipped the debate because I wasn't treated right. And we have to do that. I wasn't treated properly. And we have to think about that with our country. When our country isn't treated right, our leaders have to do what's right for the people. I mean, we get beat up by everybody. We get beat up by everybody. There's nothing. We don't have victories anymore. We don't win anymore. I mean, when was the last time we had a victory? We don't win on trade. We can't beat ISIS. Can you imagine General George Patton or General MacArthur, Douglas MacArthur, saying, ISIS is tough? I've seen these generals. They're always interviewed on television, Jerry. They're on television. I don't want my generals on television. First of all, you want to be unpredictable. You want to be like, you don't want them to think, what are you talking on television? Unless you're feeding false information. And of course, we would never do that because we're not, I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. But we have to be strong, we have to be smart, and we have to win this election. And we have to win in Iowa. You know, a lot of people say, Donald, just say do well in Iowa. I say, I can't do that. I really want to win. Now, maybe it won't work that way. But if we do, we're going to run the table, folks, and we're going to make this country so great. You're going to have victories all over the place. You're going to have victories all over. So, tomorrow, it's DonaldJTrump.com. And you just go out. It's going to tell you exactly where to go to caucus. But you got to get out. And I joke. I say, if you're sick, if you've got 104 temperature, right? I've been doing this. If your doctor says you cannot leave your bed, you won't make it. It doesn't matter. Get up and caucus. Get up and caucus. So you got to get there. And it looks like the snowstorm will start the following day. So hopefully that won't be an excuse. But even if it starts a little early, who the hell cares? Go through the storm. Because what we want to do, Jerry, we want to win a mandate. We want to win by mandate. We want to have such strength. And going into New Hampshire with a 25-point lead, but if we can come out of Iowa with a nice victory, it's so important. It's so important. And it's going to be so important for Iowa because you're going to have a great victory, and we're going to go all the way. You know, recent polls are showing I beat Hillary Clinton. And